Hello everyone, welcome to SST College of Arts and Commerce and welcome to SST Edupedia. I am Assistant Professor Manmeet Kaur will take the session for 3rd year BMS semester 6 of subject Risk Management. The topic which we are going to cover today from module 1 will be Risk Management and its control. The contents will be diversification, quantitative risk measurements, and under that we are going to learn about two methods. After that, immunization and internal control. So let's see what is diversification. Diversification, as the word says, means we diversify the risk, we divide, we spread the risk, we try to balance the risk, which helps us to minimize its impact or effect. So diversification is a risk management strategy that mix a wide variety of investments within a portfolio. We try to invest our surplus income, surplus money into different types of securities. A diversified portfolio contains a mix of distinct asset types and investment vehicles. For example, we invest in mutual funds, fixed assets, or we invest in properties, we invest in gold. So these are the different investment securities that we have. In an attempt at limiting the exposure to any single asset or risk, in this way we are not limiting our money in one particular commodity. We are putting it into different types of securities or investment options so that our money is diversified and we have at least some or the other return coming our way. The rationale behind this, the reason behind this technique is that the portfolio is constructed of different types of assets or investment options. On average, yield, which means the return, higher long-term returns we get from this, which makes some or the other return on the surplus money that we have otherwise kept idle. So the risk here is divided and in some or the other way we receive some kind of income or return on our investment. Foreign diversification, here investors put their diversified money into foreign securities. In a way, we put or invest our money, our surplus money as I mentioned, into securities which are offered by foreign companies. They tend to be less closely correlated with domestic ones. So the domestic ones are not related to it, but indirectly, of course, all the things impact each other. For example, forces depressing the US economy may not affect Japan's economy. They are not directly related, but 4-5% or 10% impact is seen on all the economy when something happens. Therefore, holding Japanese stocks, I have taken the example over here, gives the investor a small cushion, which means it is a savior kind of a thing which will give you returns in longer term. So now we will try to measure in quantitative terms our risk. Project managers, what they do, they put their money into different things. They have planned out a certain thing and after a period of time they keep on analyzing and they keep on doing the follow-up on those things. So the project manager should be prepared to perform different types of risk analysis. Project manager should be versatile in all ways. It should be a type of plan which will provide the security blanket to all the things. We should not be able to be diversified or panic situation that we are not able to handle the situation. For many projects, the quicker qualitative risk assessment is all you need. As soon as we are able to, judge the situation, we will be able to find the solution for it. But there are occasions when the quantitative risk analysis benefits. So we should be able to analyze our risk in both the ways, qualitative and quantitative. Quantitative risk analysis is numeric estimate of overall effect of risk on the project objectives. We perform a project, we perform an activity for some or the other goal that we need to achieve. So projects and the plan of the projects are framed to achieve a goal. For example, we want to achieve a profit, some margin of profit in the future. So these are easy to analyze when we use quantitative method, and qualitative methods we see when we are watching the situation, when we are able to judge the situation where employees are going wrong or where our consumers are not responding. That is qualitative. The demand and supply also comprises of it. The results provide insights into the livelihood of the project, how fruitful your project will be. That can be judged in current situation when your project is ongoing. So we can judge whether the situation is in your favor or not. The success of the project depends on the analysis that we do in terms of quality or quantity. So the contingency is we are not certain about the situation, as any situation in the market can change. So it is contingent, but we should be having some reserve for our future. What the risk analysis provides us? Better overall project risk analysis. We are able to analyze the risk properly. Better business decision making. We are able to make the decision properly, because time by time, as the time passes, we are able to judge the situation, we are able to do the prediction. Forecasting is better as we do the practice. Better estimates, we are able to judge, as I said, in better way as we analyze time by time. Here we are going to learn about differentiation between qualitative and quantitative. So conceptual wise, qualitative is concerned with understanding of human behavior, how the marketing of your product has impact on the system, or how they have done the market, etc. So we will try to analyze it with the help of qualitative measurements. For example, your product has high demand, we will learn that the marketing, the promotion of your product has done a good impact. On the other hand, quantitative analysis gives you the concerned facts. We will learn about the facts over here, about social phenomena. Qualitative analysis assumes a dynamic and negotiated reality. It is dynamic as it will change. As I said, the consumer's preferences in the market can change in a snap of time. We are not able to judge the behavior of the consumer. One day I like something, the other day I will move to another brand. So it is a dynamic thing. We can't control it. On the other hand, quantitative, it assumes a fixed and measurable reality. We have a fixed standard in numerical terms to judge the project. What are the methods or the methodology that we use in qualitative? Data are collected through participants, observation and interviews. You can say we do a primary analysis over here. We talk to the consumers directly. We move with our questionnaire, survey, we circulate that kind of things. We take the feedback from the consumers of our commodity. So we get qualitative feedback or qualitative analysis through that way. On the other hand, the data in quantitative analysis is collected through measuring things, as we have formulas or some of the other benchmark that we have set. Data is analyzed by themes from description by informants, means our consumers, as they will respond, we will analyze the data on the basis of that only. On the other hand, where quantitative measurement is concerned, we have already set formulas, formats, etc. to judge the situation. Data is reported in the language of informant, means the participants or the feedback givers who use our product in qualitative analysis. On the other hand, the quantitative report that we give is reported in terms of statistical analysis, as we have the format or the formula that only will be carried forward to the conclusion of the thing. So the first method that we are going to learn about is CAPM. It is known as Capital Asset Pricing Module. The green boxes you can see is the formula where risk-free rate plus beta into risk premium. So what is risk-free rate? The return investor expects from the completely risk-free investment. So there are investments which are risk-free and which have large scale of risk involved in it. So here risk-free, for example, we can take the bank fixed deposit which is reserved with the bank. So we can take the example of that. It should be in currency cash flow. The currency as it flows, it is judged according to that only. Beta, the degree to which a company's equity return reflects. It is the beta factor which affects, it varies, it changes with the return of overall market. Beta is the function of both business risk as well as financial risk. It concerns with business risk also, which is concentrated with the business, and on the other hand the financial risk that terms in terms of the market. So how the financial policies, the budgetary things affects the business, both the risks are covered over here. Beta is a measure of systematic risk. Here it is a systematic risk. We are aware of this risk and we can follow up this risk. On the other hand, the last concept of our formula is risk premium. Investing in the stock market is riskier than investing in government bonds. See, if we want more return, higher returns, we go to the private sector or other kind of investment options where the risk is higher. We have to judge and we have to work according our luck factor also sometimes. Investors expect a higher return to induce them to take the higher risk. So higher risk, higher the return. If you are willing to take higher risk, you may or may not get the return. So I have taken here advantages of CPM. It eliminates unsystematic risk and provides you the systematic risk which we are some or the other way aware, we predict or we come to know about it through the market. Investment appraisal, the appraisals of the investment that we have. After a period of time, we expect our investment to increase its market value. With that, the face value also is affected, means increased. All these things are appraised or appreciated when the goodwill of the company or the business is influenced. So the better the business will or the company will operate, the better appraisal of your investment will be noticed. Ease to use, the CAPM is ease to use. On the other hand, we have disadvantages, which are too many assumptions. We have risk-free and risk premium. So assumptions here are overpowered. Assigning values, we have to assign the value to the beta factor. Ability to borrow at risk-free rate. We are able to borrow, but the depth factor, the liability factor increases over here. So it is a disadvantage for us. Determination of project for proxy of beta, as beta factor may not be available for all kind of projects that we have. So we have to find some proxy for it. So that sometimes creates a chaos. So the formula here is again explained for beta. This is the beta that we have taken the next concept in quantitative analysis, covariance divided by variance method. So this is a name, covariance or variance method is given the name to it. Beta covariance R by M. So we have this formula which we use for the analysis. Next we have risk immunization. Immunization, as you know, is the strategy to mitigate, to lessen the effect. We substitute the risk factor with some or the other way here. So the strategies that we use is cash flow matching or duration matching. How often are we able to see the flow in our cash flow statements, means how smoothly the cycle is going, and duration matching is what? How often the gap of the return is there. There is a frequent gap or a longer period of gap. So the immunization is here mainly seen in return, which can be termed as return in interest rate. So the interest rate is that shows us the net worth, the performance of the investment in which we have done. So it does what? It matches the duration of assets with the liability. So we have to make sure that we ensure that our cash flow and the duration is matching with our expectation. We can't really predict and plan, we can't make a rigid plan for it, but we can see and we can predict, we can move our plan flexibly according to it. So immunization is a risk mitigation, as I said, which matches assets and liability. It can be accomplished by cash flow matching and duration matching. So we have to make sure that these things are under our control or according to our plan. The downside, which can also be the negative impact of the portfolio, of foregoing the opportunity cost. The opportunity cost is what? Where we have lost the opportunity for something. So if we are not able to grab the opportunity, that's when the loss happens. We can see that the investment is fruitful, but for some or the other reason we are not able to invest in it currently due to maybe insufficient cash balance or whatever the reason may be. So where the investment is foregone, it's lost, so immunization can go in a down way. So the portfolio should be planned in such a way that our investment is planned properly. We are able to put our money in different securities so that the risk is balanced and immunized. Other ways for internal control. So what is internal control? Internal control is the control within the business where we can analyze the risk. So risk modules can be there. We frequently perform internally the audits of material that we use for our project. It can be raw material, it can be labor. So by the time we perform these activities, we have to make sure that internal control is there. If some situations are not under our control or it's not going according to the plan, so we should make an action plan for it. We should find solution to it. To access inherent risk, the risk which is already there. Inherent means we have to deal with that kind of risk. To access control risk, controllable and non-controllable risk is if the risk is not under our control, we can find the substitutes and try to balance it as much as possible. To access the detection risk, there is a risk which we involve a lot of our time to analyze, to monitor, to supervise the plan that we have made. So that also consumes the time of the project manager or its subordinates. Statistical sampling. We keep on planning some or the other way. So we have to do a sample test. The sample test is done when we have a sample, we take out some sampling measurements or the sample size and we perform it. If the positive response is concerned, so we will try to implement it on a larger way. If the sample has come out as a negative result, so we will drop that plan and move for the other alternative. So sampling we have to try to have in such a way that all the attributes and all the variables of your project is covered. And lastly, when actual sampling is done, we have to make sure that we put our whole plans 100% so we receive the best result. So in this module we have covered risk management and other quantitative and qualitative measurements that we can have to control excess or to balance the risk that we have in our projects. Thank you.